right, well, I'm just gonna get into a short welcome here while we give everyone another minute or two here to sign on. So my name is Jordan Landeck. I'm the Marketing and Events Director for the Champaign County EDC, and we also host the SBDC here locally if you work with our office. I want to thank you for joining us for today's Course 1 with Natalie Kenny Marquez of Grow Marketing and Communications. This session will cover how to develop your marketing strategy for e-commerce. As I'm sure you saw in whatever marketing materials you found this session, there are 6 in this session or in this series. We will be hosting them every other Monday starting today, and they will always be held from 1 to 2 p.m. Oh, thank you, Natalie, for changing the screen to that. Yeah. So if you want to join us for any of the other ones, we do encourage attendance at all of them. But if you are unable to attend one, we totally understand that. And I'll include the links to register for the next 5 sessions in the follow-up email. That email will go out tomorrow morning, and it will contain the resources that you see throughout the presentation and the recording. And then you are welcome to ask questions. We just ask that you submit those via the chat box. This is set up as a webinar, so your microphones will not work throughout the session, but we will make sure that we get all of your questions addressed before we close out today's hour. So at this time, I'll hand it over to Natalie, and we can get started.
Great, thank you so much. Like Jordan said, today our topic is developing an e-commerce marketing plan. I am super excited to present this at the start of the year, all 6 of these courses. I think they'll be a great way to set you up for a great 2024. And just kind of going through some of the attendees, I recognize a couple of your names through my work in local farms and local foods, so glad that you could join us on here today as well. So we'll go ahead and get started with developing an e-commerce marketing plan. So you probably know marketing plans serve as kind of like the blueprint for your business or your sales strategy. They really lay out every detail of what's to come over the next year, start of the year, 2024, let's do this. But it's also something I believe a marketing plan should be fluid, subject to change or evaluation because of changes in business during the year, maybe changes in the marketplace, changes in technology, things like that. Marketing shouldn't just be set in motion and then left alone. I encourage you to constantly review your marketing, evaluate it, and adjust it to suit the needs of your business and the wants of your customers. So today I'm going to share with you 6 steps that you can put into place to jumpstart your e-commerce marketing efforts. The 6 steps, not to give them all up on the very first slide, but they're plan, reach, act, convert, engage, and measure. Achieving marketing success in a crowded marketplace starts with goal-driven, data-fueled, digital marketing plan. And I'm going to break that down through plan, reach, act, convert, engage, and measure. These 6 steps will help you with your online store. It'll help you maximize your efforts and make an impact this year. Step 1 is assessing the current situation. What channels have you used in the past that have worked best? What marketing channels? What has your growth rate as a business been? Where could your business have done better? What opportunities have you missed? What I encourage you to do is assess last year's performance. And maybe you're just getting started with your e-commerce business. This is kind of like the very beginning for you and you don't have some of that information. This is a great chance to set yourself up for success right away. But for others that are kind of already in this or have already kind of dabbled in it, this is a great chance to go back, check last year's performance, and really get an idea of what's worked. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You should also have a view of the market and your competitors' activities. In doing so, you can highlight focus areas for your e-commerce marketing plan that will help you create actionable and measurable goals. So one thing that I like to do is go through a SWOT analysis, and I'm sure that in your work with SBDC or EDC or other business development organizations, you've probably had to put together a SWOT analysis, but I want you to consider this SWOT analysis from a marketing perspective as the foundation for your marketing strategy. We will be sure that you have a copy of my SWOT analysis handout provided to you afterwards. But in the meantime, you can grab a piece of paper, even a couple of Post-its. You might need 4 because you need 4 sections: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So take a moment, and think about what some of your possible strengths have been over the last year or a couple of years, or if you're just getting into it, what are your strengths that you have right now? Strengths are things like you have marketing expertise on your team. Maybe you don't have a team, and so you have some past work in doing some marketing, so you are the marketing expert on your team. That is a strength. Another strength is having an innovative product or service. Maybe it's different than other things offered in your area. That's a strength. Perhaps you are a brick and mortar business and you're just entering into the world of e-commerce. That could be a strength because people know you and know your location, and they'll get those same products and services online. Brand reputation is also a strength. For example, if it's trusted or recognized that you offer the highest quality of whatever it is that you offer, that's certainly a strength. So take a second and jot down what a couple of your strengths are. Next, we'll go into weaknesses. So, weaknesses and threats aren't exactly the most fun things to talk about, but they're really important when you're putting together your strategy. Possible weaknesses include not having a clear product differentiation compared to your competitors' offerings. Is it a crowded marketplace? Are you able to stand apart? That could be a weakness if you don't have that, stand apart opportunity there. Another weakness, maybe it's distribution. E-commerce is really important when you start putting together a strategy for that component of your business, is distribution. I know that doesn't specifically relate to marketing, but it's part of supply and demand and, getting traction with your e-commerce website. So think about product differentiation as a possible weakness. Another weak distribution compared to your competitors. Oh, we already went over that one. Not having an online presence or enough of an online presence. I think for everyone, you should probably write down online presence as a weakness. Even the best could always do better. So that's probably why we're here. And we'll even get into that further on in our courses over the next few months. So be sure you wrote down a couple of strengths. You wrote down a couple of weaknesses. We'll move on to opportunities. I like opportunities. They're positive. Maybe there's growing demand from new markets, and that's where you can really make your mark. That's definitely an opportunity. Using social media to reach new customers. We're going to dive into that. One of our courses altogether will be all about social media. Definitely an opportunity. I think you could all write down social media as an opportunity. Using new technology, maybe. There's ways that you can really make an impact on your e-commerce site using different types of technology. Great opportunity. So be thinking about what some opportunities are available to you and your business and jot those down. So the fourth and final part of the SWOT analysis are threats. Again, not as comfortable to go through and think about these, but obviously very important in putting a strategy together. Possible threats, maybe you have competitors that might introduce a very similar or better product or service at a lower price. Always a threat that those things might happen. Changes in economic environment, maybe they'll reduce customer loyalty. I don't know, possible threat. Another example could be changes in consumer tastes and fashions. Maybe you are have a product that's very trendy at the moment, but it's a short-lived trend. Like, how can you think about these types of threats and think about your products and what will be on your e-commerce site? So I know we went through that in like 3 minutes, but this is part of the homework I'll assign you. Obviously, it's not like I'm going to make you turn it in for a grade or anything like that, but developing a good set of bullet points that you can list under strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats will really help you set a strong foundation as you move forward. And if anybody wants to, you're welcome to type into the chat maybe what some of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats are. I might ask you to also put what kind of business you are, so that gives us a frame of reference. But it's always good to hear what other people are working on, what's helping them, helping one another as we move forward in this process. So step 2, now that we have, kind of gone through assessing our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and threats, it's important to establish a growth timeline and how we intend to reach our customers. So reach involves building awareness of your brand, your products, and your services. After all, nobody can buy from your business if they don't know that you exist. So your e-commerce marketing plan should focus on how you can use other websites and other types of media to drive traffic to your owned media. That's your website, maybe your blog, your social media profiles, things like that. How can you maximize reach using these types of communications, planning campaigns, using multiple interactions, paid media, own media, earn media? Well, here's how. First, you got to define your key brand message to focus on awareness, familiarity, and purchase intent. And part of that is branding. I'm going to talk a lot about branding in every single one of these sessions. I think that it's super important. It's a huge component in marketing strategy, but really being good about defining your key brand message to focus on awareness, familiarity, and purchase intent. Another way to grow your audience, use Google Analytics on your e-commerce website to review performance. And we'll talk about that in the do's and don'ts of building your e-commerce website. But Google Analytics is really helpful for e-commerce. If you are just now starting your site, get that on there right away. If you already have a site, be sure you're taking some time to analyze what type of insights are coming through to you from your website. Perform keyword research. This is great to identify strengths and opportunities. See here again, strengths and opportunities. We'll be repeating those words. To identify strengths and opportunities, both paid and organic. Keywords are those short words that you use to describe your business and your products that your customers might use in searching the internet for products like yours. And again, that's using Google Analytics, you can get some good information about the types of keywords and the types of even a couple word short phrases people are using to search for products like yours. D, or 4, identify the appropriate channels to promote the right content to the right people. We'll dive further into this kind of discussion in the second course when we do a digital existence audit. So if you haven't signed up for that, I would certainly do that. But not every channel, not every media, not every social media is going to be the right platform for every customer. So that's why I encourage you to really, think about who your customers are, the people that are buying from you, and what channels they use to learn, to research, and to interact and to engage. And lastly, define a paid and display media budget to reach the correct audience. And I get it, you might not have a budget quite yet, but start thinking about how you can incorporate these types of expenses into your budget as you grow your e-commerce business. I work with a lot of small businesses and nonprofits that don't have a huge budget for marketing and display ads and media buys and things like that. And so it's really important that you choose the right channels that are going to make the biggest impact for you and give you the greatest return on your investment. In today's digital shopping world, I'm sure that we all purchase things online. We know that it's important that the businesses that you are interested in or that are interested in you really get out there and put the information out there and gain your attention. And so sorry, I'm going to stop for just a second. Can you break down the atomization means as seen in the image here? Oh, yes. Okay. So on the screen, we have 3, like I mentioned, 3 different types of ways that you can reach your intended customer. Paid media, those are things like display ads. We see those in our social media. We see those in all different places. If you are on a news website, you can buy ads. Those are display ads, affiliate marketing, that's working with other people to get the word out, digital signage, another type of display ads, own media. Those are things that you have direct control over, your websites, your blogs, your social media. If you have any type of apps for your business, those are things that you have 100% control over, what goes on it, when it goes out, things like that. Earned media, that's your partners, that's public relations, press releases, word of mouth, people sharing things and adding comments, that type of engagement. Influencers, that's a huge part of earned media. And so what I'm trying to get you to find is where you can make the most impact, where all of these different types of conversations come together and where we can find the best return on your investment, the best performance. What is that sweet spot for you? And that really takes getting into understanding your customer, understanding the platforms that you're on, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, and being able to find the place that works best for you in the digital world for your e-commerce business. So I hope that that helped to answer your question. So building on all of this, part of what I just touched on in answering that question are channels and content that works best to grab the attention of your target audience, really understanding what makes them take action. If we had the answer to all of that, we probably wouldn't be here, but we're still trying to learn, more about our customers. So the act stage in e-commerce marketing is aimed at encouraging interactions that will result in lead generation. So it focuses on creating interactions with content rather than conversions at kind of this point if you're looking at the sales funnel. This is where you work to position your business as the best to suit your customers' needs. So looking at the graphic on the slide, you'll see there are color-coded boxes. And some of this is repetitive from the last graphic on this slide, but if you're like me, you got to see it a couple different times in a couple different ways for it to really make an impact on your brain. So first is red, that's paid media. That's things like promoted posts, paid ads, etc. Then the little orange or orange-yellow gold boxes, maybe, whatever you want to call it. Those are the organic, the non-paid efforts that you control. Again, those are things like we just talked about, blogs and your website, the keywords that you put in there, your social media. The green box, that's your earned media. Again, those are like influencers, public relations, media appearances. Those are just a few of the different types of examples. So I want you to take a minute to think about all the activities that you are involved with in terms of marketing and where they fall into this grid of volume versus return on your investment. So if we go back to the last slide, it's that, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but that's that sweet spot, the place where you'll get the most impact. Knowing what you are currently doing and what you're able to do will determine, what the best return on your investment is. And I would love to know, I know there's a lot of us on this call, but if you want to drop in the chat, like what type of activities have you done where you saw the greatest lead generation? Again, if you want to put what type of business you're involved with, that might give us a frame of reference. But as we take a look at the different types of effectiveness versus investment, where have you seen the greatest lead generation? I know that it takes a lot of time to comb through all of this information to really figure out where you're seeing the greatest kind of action in terms of your marketing strategy. A lot of the data can be overwhelming, but now is the time to really sort this out and get that information to start your marketing strategy. It looks like one person says we're a small farm, yep, and we rely on Instagram for sales leads. Yes, I think Maggie also said earlier, strengths are good photos, writing, business experience, well-established. So again, leaning on the items that you bullet pointed out and your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat in your SWOT analysis. Maggie says good photos. Obviously, that is great for Instagram. You know, people stop scrolling when they see something really pretty and be able to move forward with a sale from there. Allegra says most of my leads come from in-person interactions. How's this going to translate into online leads? Yep, that's definitely a great question. And that's usually the question that most businesses ask as they're trying to move into the next stage, moving into e-commerce from something that's been going on mostly in person. And so really thinking about what are your strengths, what are your opportunities, to shine a light on those, and then really dive into the weaknesses and the threats so that you can be prepared as you move along into e-commerce. DJ with entertainment business, rely on social media and word of mouth. Yep, for sure. Awesome. So we've talked about planning, we've talked about reach, building upon those things. We talked about ACT and interactions and sales channels. Now kind of the next step in your thinking about your marketing strategy for e-commerce is how are you going to convert a lead to a sale? What activities are you going to do that will persuade your audience to take that vital next step and turn those people into paying customers? So this step, convert, looks at the end of the process or generating the conversion. One thing that I've noticed in conversion is that one of the best ways to get there is kind of a personalized digital experience. And so that might be really dynamic landing pages or being able to use other digital techniques to encourage or entice that person to make that sale or to purchase from you. And we'll go over email marketing in our 4th course in this series. But things like email marketing, live chat function, little product demos or videos, having a great mobile version of your e-commerce site, those are all huge and really make that buying process feel a little more personalized and easy for the individual. Just like your marketing plan, the customer journey, these things are not linear. And so that's why I keep encouraging you to dive into your analytics, your customer data, getting to know your customers more and understanding what path they need to take to get to purchase. So I really encourage you to consider all of this as part of your multi-channel marketing strategy. And a few things that you can work on in terms of conversion is identify conversion funnels and paths to purchase. That's why I challenged you to review what you're doing in that 3rd step to help you get to convert. So the 3rd step, was ACT, and this one is convert. Plan how you can personalize the digital experience within your current constraints and resources. Again, that comes back to what you put down on your SWOT analysis. What are your current constraints? What are your resources? Lean into those 4 quadrants to plan a solid digital experience for your customers and your potential customers. I also think it's important to establish a communication process between the marketing and the development part of your e-commerce business. In all honesty, maybe you don't even have a team at all that works on marketing or works on development or works on sales, but that makes it even more important that you work hard to identify a personalization plan that will really convert. And if you can't develop that on your own on your site, then it might be worthwhile to work with a company that can help you achieve that part of your e-commerce site. And when we go over the do's and don'ts of e-commerce websites, we'll go into really specifics of different ways that you can kind of develop that communication process between like the marketing and the user experience. Super important. I think we've probably all been in a situation where we've been on a website and we may be interested in buying something, but it's really hard to get to the purchase part, like they've lost us. And so that's why I think it's really great to focus in on that. So let me come up to the questions. I see that popping up. Social proof. I think social proof, testimonials, word of mouth, those all kind of come together. Those are people talking about your product. They're showing that it's made an impact, that it's made a difference, that they have received quality benefit from whatever it is that you sell. And an example of personalization, that is making the person feel like they are, unique, and that you're catering to their needs, that it is a website that feels comfortable for them to navigate, that it's easy to get around, that it has a branding or an aesthetic that appeals to their interest. Again, that falls on, really learning about your customer and making sure that what you're putting out there is well branded and consistent. Great questions. Thank you. All right, our fifth step is engage. So if converting a sale is our objective, how do we retain that customer and nurture advocacy? That's what we want. That kind of goes back to social proof that Maggie had mentioned in the chat. So, once we get the person to buy something, how do we retain them? How do we make sure they're telling people how great our business is? This stage in the funnel requires that you keep adding value to your brand experience, generate repeat purchases, build loyalty, and improve customer satisfaction. So think about how you can plan to use content to nurture the post-sale relationship. Because as we think about marketing strategy, it's not just getting to the sale, but it also has to include after the sale. Some ways that you can nurture the post-sale relationship could include storytelling, case studies, engaging social content. In the third part of this course, we'll take a deep dive into engagement opportunities. But in the meantime, as you start to build out your strategy, I want you to consider these 3 bullet points. First is outline your intended customer onboarding process using e-commerce marketing techniques and online messaging. This is where it's good to really have a solid branding guideline in place with key benefits of your product and service, as well as set talking points to use in your online messaging. I have a set of brand guidelines for every one of my clients that I work with. I also have one for my business. I use brand guidelines to help keep me consistent and also make sure that anyone that's working with a business knows these are the colors that we use. These are the fonts that we use. This is the type of imagery that we use and the type of graphics. When we use photos or take photos, this is the type of photography or the style that we use that represents our brand. And then when I say key benefits or talking points, I include those in my brand guidelines. What are the key benefits of the products or the services that we offer? What are the little short phrases or talking points that are fully vetted and good to go when it comes to sharing information about my business, about your business? Having that all in one place builds consistency. And I strongly believe that consistency is super important in keeping someone engaged as you onboard them as a customer. Consistency means you are consistent with your branding across all the different digital channels that you're involved with, that you are represented the same across every single platform. So I encourage you to really think about that. Establish your multi-channel customer service process. Customer service is a really big deal in e-commerce. If you are currently engaging with your customers face-to-face, think about the type of conversations, the frequently asked questions, how you engage with them. There's a lot of websites, e-commerce sites that can help you with have a chat function. If you don't have a call center for purchasing, maybe there's a way that you can do some kind of chat function. I'll give some examples of that when we go through the do's and don'ts of websites. But for one of my clients, that's a small locally owned business, but having that chat on their e-commerce site was huge. And we used a plugin through Facebook. And so it runs through Facebook Messenger. It's been huge because that way they have people able to respond all the time from their staff. And it's really made it the number of phone calls come into the business significantly less when people are confused about something on the website. So easy way to be able to have a good customer service process that fit their budget and their needs. Lastly, identify post-sale customer data for remarketing opportunities. It's all about building relationships. And so I would love to know what are some data points you can collect during the sale and afterward that might help you with potential remarketing opportunities. I know it's kind of hard to think ahead and get those things that you might need later in place before you launch a campaign or as you're getting your marketing strategy together. But as you gear up to move forward with your e-commerce business this year, what are some data points that you can think of that could be collected during the sale or afterwards? Some examples, and again, you can type some of these things into the chat, but some examples of data that you might want to collect during the sale. Zip code, where are your purchasers coming from? And are you noticing any trends that you could help, remarket to a certain zip code or a certain city or geography, offer a sale later on just to a specific area? Are there short little survey questions that could pop up after someone makes a purchase and then they get a discount? Think about you and how you've purchased things from people online and what you've liked and not liked, what you've responded to or not responded to. How could you make some of those types of things work for you and your business? Renata says birthdays, reach out to them on their birthdays. Yep, birthdays are huge. That's a great opportunity to keep connected. Grab that data during the process. I have a client that does birthdays and then they also do anniversary, as an anniversary when they became a customer with that business, and they give them a little freebie or discount on birthdays and on anniversaries. So just a couple of examples there, but feel free to keep typing things in. I've always found that we learn a lot from hearing what other people are doing. And so it'd be great if you could type some things in there. Renata also says special events coming up in their lives, custom made something for that event. Yep, all great things. Cool. All right, so we've started talking about this, but it's important to complete our steps with measuring effectiveness of this whole process. So just like I said in the beginning, and in quite a few slides, marketing should not just be set in motion and left alone, but constantly reviewed, evaluated, and adjusted to suit the needs of your business and the wants of your customers. So step 6, measure. A plan is nothing more than a document if, I sound like such a professor. A plan is nothing more than a document if there are no quantifiable metrics to assess success. That's a tongue twister. Let me say it one more time. You have to have a document that sets you up to understand the quantifiable metrics that you can use that will assess your success. Beyond the obvious things like traffic, sales, conversion rates, your e-commerce marketing plan should include a view as to how you will track and report on all key performance indicators. And these key performance indicators are the items that you can track that show that you are really making progress in your efforts. Some of these, I believe, include Google Analytics. I know we've talked about that a couple times already, but really being able to set some goals of what you want to reach with your website and using Google to keep tabs on those. Conversion rate for different types of leads or customers, methods of assessing the quality of visitors in your website, really understanding the different types of digital channels that you're using and how they influence your sales. Are you able to track if the people that are interacting or engaging on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok are just engaging, or are they becoming customers? So understanding how that works, how to track returning customers and determine their value. There's ways that you can understand this with different types of e-commerce websites. Email subscriber engagement. I think that that's really important to see. Are the people that are your subscribers, are they engaging in more than just your newsletter? Are they also making purchases? And then customer satisfaction. That's a huge important component of e-commerce and with all business, and big into driving loyalty as a customer and letting other people know about it. So I have this worksheet to share with you. It will come to you by email, but these are some of the e-commerce content measures that I would like for you to consider. I break it down by measure, reach, act, convert, and engage, and give you some examples of what all of these are so that you can think about as you put together your marketing plan, setting yourself up for success, being able to think about what you can measure, how you can measure it, and how they will help you as you move forward in your e-commerce business. All right, I'm going to check the chat before we move on to the next slide. So going back to my question from the last slide of what type of data you might be able to collect to help you better define, your marketing efforts and strategy moving forward. Discount codes for future orders printed on postcards, included in items that are shipped. Love it. Let's see. Are these data points only after a sale, or could it apply to them signing up to the email list too? Yes, certainly. Any type of data that you can get during the process of engaging with a customer, getting them to make a sale, all great ways to collect data. So sure, when I use MailChimp or Constant Contact, there's all sorts of questions that you can ask in the newsletter sign up that give you some really great data points to keep tabs on. Colleen says, I've been wanting to get a social media calendar to help guide me and remind me. Yep. We will talk about social media calendars and social media in one of the next courses. Let's see, it is, when do we talk about social media? That will be course number 5, so a little bit further on in the process. But what I would have tried to do with all of these is kind of build upon each other. So we're talking about strategy this week. In a couple weeks, we'll audit our digital existence, start working on building or expanding your e-commerce website, how to include email marketing, using social media, and then customer reviews. So it's kind of following along the building of the business and the sales process. So we will definitely hook you up with that, Colleen. Renata could provide 10% off coupon for giving feedback. Yep, like it. Maggie, thanks for sharing with Colleen what you use for your content planning. Maggie uses Airtable for her content planning. There's also one called Planoly that will auto post. Cool, like it. Jordan, thank you for sharing the signups for all the future courses. Very helpful. Excellent. So building upon the 6 steps that we've gone over today, I know there was a lot of information there, but you'll also get some of these worksheets so you can keep working on your marketing strategy. But we went over plan, reach, act, convert, engage, and measure. And because I love setting goals and timelines, I'm going to give you another handout to help you, really think about what some of your marketing goals are and be able to incorporate those goals into your strategy for e-commerce. We talked about your strengths, we talked about weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I encourage you to complete that worksheet on your own and really give it some good thought. Think about the 6 steps that we've gone through to get you thinking about what to include in a marketing plan and get you off to a good start this year. And then from there, we think about goal setting. There has to be a reason behind everything you're doing with your brand, with your e-commerce, with your effort to build a solid e-commerce business. You need to be specific in your plans on what you're trying to accomplish, because really that's going to set the tone for your to-do list. So in my worksheet, I want you to think about what some of your goals are for this year for your e-commerce business and jot those down in the gray box. And then I think with every goal, you have to think about what the motivation is behind that goal. And so that's why I have a section for you to write down your motivations. Why is it that you want to do this? Or what's the reason why now is the time? And think about what the goal is, what the motivation is, what are the actions that you have to take in order to achieve that goal? What are the small steps that you can work on day to day, week to week, month to month to achieve your goal? And put that down in your actions. I really think that you should include in your actions the things that we've talked about today, the 6 steps. Think about, measuring, reaching, acting, converting, engaging as actions to take into achieving your goal. And then deadline. I don't know about all of you, but deadline is really important to me. And so sometimes when I fill out this sheet, I start with goal and then I skip to deadline and then I fill everything back in because I like to have that date in place. It could be a short-term deadline, it could be long-term, but really be thinking about what is the deadline, what are the actions you're going to have to take, what are the motivations, and what are your goals, and using all of that to help you put together a really solid marketing strategy for your e-commerce business this year. All right, I'm going to come back over to the chat really quick. Would emailing people who have purchased from us through Square be okay? I'm wondering if this would be an invasion of privacy since they didn't sign up for me to contact them for that reason. That's a really good question. So I have had that happen to me before. I think we've all probably used Square at the point of purchase, and it recognizes the credit or debit card that you use, the email that's associated with it. Because when it says, do you want a digital or print receipt, it will email it or text it to you right away. So it remembers those things. I've had businesses that have emailed me before and I don't remember signing up for something, but I know that I've used a credit or debit card there before. You can unsubscribe from it if you don't want it. I know that there are businesses that have had blacklist issues with their domain from sending emails out that people didn't subscribe to get. And so they marked it as spam, things like that. I think it really depends on what you're doing, the purpose of it. We'll get into email marketing and dive into some of those questions and examples and scenarios here in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I would say it really depends on the purpose of the email that you're going to be sending out before I would feel confident asking that question or answering that question. So sorry for the convoluted response, but I would certainly like to learn a little bit more before I give you the thumb of approval, or the maybe not. Renata, when setting up a marketing plan, it's important to look at upcoming events. Yep, social happenings, see how you can build quick bundles that coincide with that event. Oh, like when the Barbie movie, make pink bundles or something like that. March Madness, yes. I love having a calendar to help guide you and your efforts throughout the year, and being proactive instead of reactive, so that you can ride that wave as those types of opportunities and events and seasonality takes place. Rebecca, can you include agreement to receiving tips and tricks or other communication within your TNC at the time of purchase? Yep. You can, a lot of times you can have the box autofill that someone agrees to receive certain types of communication, and so it's on them to uncheck that box. So that way it's a little bit easier to, funnel people into your marketing, email marketing that way. So that's one way to do it. Laws against emailing without an email manager like MailChimp. There are all different types of email managers, I guess you could say, or platforms. Not always do they have to be something like MailChimp, or they have to be something like Constant Contact. There's a variety of CRM systems or loyalty programs or point of sale systems that offer email to customers that way. I know Spot On is a credit card processor in the area that a lot of businesses seem to be using, and they have an email component from theirs. Same with Square. So there are pros and cons with all the different types of email platforms, and we'll get into some of those later on. Yep, some great comments, suggestions in the chat about using email marketing, and then also how to set people up to sign up for email. Yep, and receive email. Yeah. Cool. All right. So that is that was my last slide for today's marketing strategy for e-commerce course. Happy to answer any other questions. I'll keep checking the chat, but if you have any questions directly for me, you're welcome to email or call. That's my website. But the next course will be here in a couple of weeks. It will be January 22nd, and we'll talk about auditing your digital existence. That's one of my favorite processes to work with businesses, is doing a digital existence audit. So I hope you'll join us for that. And because email marketing has been a big topic of conversation today, definitely come back for our fourth course. We'll talk all about using email marketing to promote your online store, show some examples, give some recommendations. But I'll keep checking the chat to see if you have any other questions for me.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I just want to note, while we're waiting and hanging out, to see if any other questions come in case anyone joined us after my quick little spiel at the beginning. You will receive a follow-up email with all of the resources that Natalie shared throughout the session, along with a recording of today's presentation specifically, so you can go back and revisit anything that she may have elaborated on, or that you just want to hear again. And that email will go out tomorrow morning. And then, like Natalie mentioned a couple times, and I know I dropped it in the chat, you are welcome to join us for the rest of this series. Once again, it's not required that you attend all of them, but we do encourage that. Like she said, each session is going to build off of the last. So by the end of our 6-part series, you should have a wealth of knowledge on marketing your e-commerce business. So thank you so much, Natalie, and thank you everyone who joined us.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for your interactions in the chat. I know sometimes we get on these webinars and it's very silent in that. So there's a lot of interacting between attendees, lots of questions that came in for Natalie. So I do appreciate your involvement in today's session. All right, well, I don't see anything else coming in. So if you're okay with it, Natalie, we can go ahead and close out today's session. And I want to thank you all again for joining us. I did see a note in the chat from someone as well about being careful as this predicted weather is coming. So yes, everyone, please be careful over the next 24 to 48 hours. And we look forward to seeing you in a future session.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.